Hello everyone, Jeff here with you for a GMTE Express add-on. This is episode number 7 of the Wednesday Night Wrestling Blitz between AEW Dynamite and WWE NXT. Let's start with AEW Dynamite first. It took place this week from Nashville, Tennessee. We saw a video package air at the top here where Kenny Omega was reviewed by the doctor after his Full Gear match with Jon Moxley. Omega, it was revealed, was not medically cleared to compete, but Jon Moxley was. And then we would find out that Jon Moxley would be taking on Michael Nakazawa here. It's a pretty short match. It only goes about 1 to 2 minutes. Moxley wins in pretty short order here with the paradigm shift. Afterwards, Moxley gets on the microphone, cuts a promo saying that nobody would have the balls to do what Omega did in facing him in that type of a style. He promised to scorch the earth, and then he threw out a challenge to anyone in the locker room to fight him before leaving the ring. We'll see if someone would challenge him later on in the program. Next up, we had tag team competition. We had the Dark Order taking on the Jungle Express here. It's a good match, a decent match. Ultimately, Marco Stunt would get pinned. The Dark Order would win after they pinned Marco Stunt with a fatality. Afterwards, Uno offered Stunt the opportunity to join the Dark Order. Jungle Boy stopped him from accepting, and then we saw the Creepers do a beatdown on the Express. Uno attempted to put the mask on Jungle Boy, but Luchasaurus actually came out to make his return to make the save here and to run off the Dark Order here. So the Jungle Express is back at full force now with the return of Luchasaurus a lot sooner than what a lot of people had thought. So good to see him back here in this situation. Next up, we had triple threat action here. We had Darby Allin taking on Peter Avalon and Shawn Spears. The match does not go very long here. Spears early on in the match was chased off as Joey Janela ran out here to get some action in on him. So they brawled through the crowd and they were out of the way. So it just leaves Darby Allin and Peter Avalon. Darby Allin winds up winning in the end. He pins Avalon with a coffin drop. And then we see Allin get on the microphone to answer the challenge from Moxley earlier on. And basically Allin says, "I accept," and that was it. So it was later on announced in the show that they would have that match on next week's edition of Dynamite. So it should be a good match. Looking forward to seeing Darby Allin and Jon Moxley together in the ring. Women's action was up next here. We had Nyla Rose taking on Danny Jordan. This is Danny Jordan's first appearance in AEW and on television here on Dynamite. Not a whole lot to say about the match. The only highlight for Danny Jordan was that she slapped Nyla Rose. Other than that, Nyla Rose just had her way with her in a very short match, a squash essentially, with Nyla Rose winning with the sit-down powerbomb, also known as the Nyla Bomb. So she made very short work of Danny Jordan, and there was really nothing more to say about that. After we got a medical update on Dustin Rhodes with the situation with his arm, we see Ali out coming down the aisle there for a promo with Tony Schiavone. So Schiavone's out there interviewing Ali. It does not go... or Ali, I should say, does not go very long. The lights cut out. We see the lights come back on. We see Brandy Rhodes and Awesome Kong walk out. Ali tries to get a shot in on Awesome Kong. Doesn't work. Ultimately, Awesome Kong lays out Ali. And like they did with Bea Priestley at the Full Gear pay-per-view, we see Awesome Kong cut off a part of the hair of Ali. So this seems to be sort of a running gag now with Awesome Kong cutting off the piece of hair. Wonder where that's going to be leading going forward. So, and once again, Tony Schiavone not able to get through an interview without someone interrupting him. That seems to be a running gag as well at this point in time. So we have that. Next up, we see Chris Jericho. He is out for his promo. He's out there to talk about his win over Cody Rhodes at Full Gear. We hear Cody's music fire up, but we see MJF be the one to come out. He basically cuts a good promo explaining why he turned on Cody and fully revealed himself as a heel, even though he was a heel all along. He says that Cody was the true villain, and then MJF and Jericho would do this running gag, kind of a who's on first type of a deal here, arguing about MJF wanting to join the Inner Circle, and MJF says, "You want me to join the Inner Circle?" They would go back and forth on this for a while. Kind of got a little old for me. I thought it ran a little long in the tooth. Ultimately, they would both laugh and saying who the biggest jackass in the company is, and they both said it was Cody. They laughed and hugged. Ultimately, Cody does run out to do a beatdown on MJF and Cody, Cody does it on MJF and Jericho. Doesn't get very far because we see the debut of Wardlow, who we've been seeing promos for here leading up to this. He makes his debut here. He appears to be the muscle for MJF at this point. He basically lays out Cody here after some spots. And they do a deal where Wardlow takes off his tie and actually nooses it around Cody and does a kind of a hangman thing over the top rope onto the outside here, kind of noosing him. So that was kind of quite the visual, and that's basically where this ends. So obviously we know Cody's apparently not ready to be, it's not going to be cleared to compete just yet. So apparently we have some programs lined up, obviously with MJF and of course Wardlow. They may have that match in the future as well. So there you have that. We had a rematch from Full Gear. We had Pac taking on Hangman Adam Page here. Again, I thought it was a good match. They did very similar to their match I thought that what we saw at Full Gear here just recently. Both guys got in a lot of offense here. Ultimately, in the end, Pac gets his win back by putting down Page with the Brutalizer. He had stumped his head multiple times and he left him defenseless. Though Page never gave up, he passed out. Referee called for the bell. And then that was it. So Pac gets his win back. So 50-50 booking here after Page got the win at the Full Gear events. So yeah, kind of interesting. It was a fine match. I thought their match at Full Gear was a little bit better than this, but it was okay for what it was. So right after this ends, we see the cameras cut backstage where the Young Bucks were brawling with Santana and Ortiz, proud and powerful, of course. We see Santana hit a dive off the forklift as the guys would go for every weapon they could find back there to continue this feud. At one point, a bathroom door was busted open to reveal Orange Cassidy just standing, I should say, in this bathroom. Kind of got a big reaction. I thought it was actually pretty funny stuff here. Cassidy didn't do anything. He didn't react. He didn't attack anyone. He was just leaning against the wall in this bathroom. The door was eventually slowly closed by one of the members of Proud and Powerful. But yeah, it was kind of a funny spot. Eventually, Santana and Ortiz got the upper hand. They bashed Nick Jackson's knee with a stock full of baseballs and put him through the stage with a powerbomb. Eventually, Private Party wakes up and runs out to make the save. And it was announced for next week's show that Santana and Ortiz will be having a tag match against Private Party. Now, this is kind of coming off as a tribute match because Santana Ortiz and the Private Party worked with a gentleman by the name of Matt Travis, who wrestling fans will know. He unfortunately passed away here recently. So these four guys worked with Matt Travis in the wrestling promotion House of Glory in New York. So this is a tribute for him. Very classy stuff here. These four guys having this match in his honor. I think it'll be a good match, and and they did acknowledge the passing of Matt Travis here, who had worked with the House of Glory wrestling promotion in New York. So should be a very good match. Hopefully they have a very good match and do it in the honor of Mr. Matt Travis. Main event for the evening was the AEW Tag Team title match. We have SCU defending the titles against Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara, hero of the Inner Circle. All good stuff here. Jake Hager was out there. He interferes at one point during the match. Eventually, we see Jericho and Sky in the ring together near the end. Jericho had hit the code breaker. He was going to set up the finish here was when Sky hit the small package and actually pinned Jericho, got the 3 count, and handed Jericho his first loss in AEW in tag team action. So SCU successfully defended the titles here. So Scorpio Sky will be in the record books as be the first person to pin Jericho on AEW television. So afterwards, we see Jericho lose it at ringside as the show went off the air. It kind of went off the air very quick here. He was irate, pouting and all that. It seemed like they kind of rushed the finish here a little bit, I thought, but still, it gives SCU the rub, especially Scorpio Sky, by pinning the AEW champion Chris Jericho here in this tag team title match. So that was AEW that took place from Nashville, Tennessee. Let's talk WWE NXT. It took place from Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida. They opened with the NXT Cruiserweight title match between Lio Rush and Angel Garza. Good stuff here. Early on, we see Garza go into the crowd and rip off his pants in front of Lio Rush's wife and children. A lot of back and forth stuff here from these guys. Garza, late in the match, caught Lio Rush with the wing clipper for a very close 3 count. And then ultimately Leo Rush would hit the final hour after hitting one earlier, but Garza kicked out. He hit a second one more time for the win for the 3. A little bit of controversy here in the end. Garza's foot did appear to graze the ropes during the pinfall. The referee did not see it, so somewhat of a tainted win. The crowd actually kind of booed Leo Rush here. They were more cheering for Angel Garza, so kind of a reverse of what you would have expected here. But Leo Rush did successfully defend the Cruiserweight title here. They cut backstage to what they were considering a breaking situation. We see Rhea Ripley and Tegan Nox laid out outside in the outside area in the gravel and all that. I do have one little nitpick here. They said it was breaking. This was clearly not breaking, because if you were paying very close attention, you could tell this was an angle that was shot earlier in the day, because you could see the sunlight out through the fence. Of course, when this was airing live at night, of course it was after 8 o'clock Eastern, and it would have been dark down there by that point. So clearly an angle shot during the day. I know it's a little bit of a nitpick, but still not really breaking, as it didn't happen live. It was recorded earlier in the day, but still, we had that. Xyla Lee takes on Aaliyah next. Vanessa Bourne is out there. This is a very short match. Does not go very long. Lee wins by hitting the roundhouse kick, and actually caught it a little bit too well, because caught her right in the face with it, and then it busted her nose. She was bleeding, and then we actually saw a trainer come out with a towel to kind of stop the blood from really getting all over the place. So the roundhouse kick caught a little too good there by Lee onto Aaliyah here. So Xyla Lee wins the match against Aaliyah. So we have that. Finn Balor's out for a promo next. He is basically talking about wondering why NXT has declined in his absence. And he calls out Johnny Gargano for still being out 3 weeks after being on the receiving end of the Pele kick. He ultimately mentions about Matt Riddle, and to the surprise of nobody, Matt Riddle does come out. He comes out from behind and attacks Finn Balor. Finn Balor runs off. He calls him a putz at one point as well. The Undisputed Era comes out to attack Riddle, but we see his War Games teammates, Keith Lee and Tommaso Ciampa, come out to even the odds. Later on in the program, William Regal said that Finn Balor and Matt Riddle would be taking place in NXT TakeOver, so Riddle is taken out of the War Games match and putting him in as a replacement for Johnny Gargano against, was supposed to be the spot against him and Finn Balor, so it's going to be Balor and Riddle. That should be a great match. So after all this action, we see both War Games teams jawing on the mic. Keith Lee challenged Adam Cole to a match on the spot, but Roderick Strong stepped up and said he would do it. So we see this impromptu match between Keith Lee and Roderick Strong. It's a non-title match for the North American title. Title 9 on the line here. Great match here. A lot of back and forth from both of these guys. At one point, we see Roderick Strong hit 2 impressive avalanche superplexes on Lee, but could not win with it. We see Lee turn Strong inside out on a clothesline. The rest of the Undisputed Era, who had been ejected prior to the match, came back out. Riddle and Tommaso Ciampa eventually came out to even up the odds. Finn Balor actually comes out of nowhere and hits a sling bling and missile dropkick to take out Matt Riddle at ringside. That distracted Lee. He ate a jumping knee, and then he got caught with the Roddy Slam by Roderick Strong. Thought that would have been the end of the match, but nope. He kicked out just before 3. Lee then dodged a senton and then hit a jackhammer slam for the pin. To pin the North American title holder here, Roderick Strong, in non-title action. I thought maybe a little too clustered here with all the interference in the end, but otherwise I thought it was a very good match, and it gives Keith Lee the rub and a big win for him. So afterwards, the Undisputed Era does attack Lee after the match. Tommaso Ciampa couldn't make the full save. Dominik Dijakovic came out to even up the things here and eliminate the Undisputed Era. He hit Adam Cole with Feast Your Eyes at this point, and then Dijakovic got on the mic and said he wanted to be on the face team with the War Games guys there from NXT to take on the Undisputed Era. Tommaso Ciampa shakes his hand, kind of an aggressive stare down and handshake, and then they do a face-off for Dijakovic and Lee as well, but they eventually shake hands. And so they'll have one more guy left on the babyface team. It's likely going to be Velveteen Dream, so we'll see what happens there. Our second backstage attack of the night, we see Jessamine Duke, Candice LeRae, and I believe Maria Shafar as well. They were laid out by the unknown assailants. As earlier, we had Rhea Ripley and Tegan Nox get knocked out. I forgot to mention those names, but they were taken out first, Rhea Ripley and Tegan Nox. Here we see Jessamine Duke, Candice LeRae, and I believe Maria Shafar. So who did it? So we would kind of find out later on. Isaiah Swerve Scott takes on Bronson Reed here. It's an okay match. I thought this was the weakest match on the entire show. Ultimately, it's a big guy versus small guy match. Ultimately, towards the end of the match here, Swerve was able to showcase his athleticism. He flipped out of a sunset flip pinning attempt to hit the house call for the win on Bronson Reed. So Swerve gets the win here. They do shake hands afterwards, so good sportsmanship there. Though I thought this was the weakest match on the show. We were supposed to get Pete Dunne and Killian Dane next. That never happens. We see Damian Priest come out to attack Killian Dane from behind. Priest eventually took Dunne and Dane down before ultimately launching an NXT security guard over the top rope onto the floor with the crucifix bomb, aka the Razor's Edge. As we see Pete Dunne and Killian Dane battling on the outside, Priest hit and in this big step up Tope con Hilo to lay them both down and stand tall here. So Damian Priest standing tall here. Some good action here, leading up to what likely will be a triple threat match at the War Games pay-per-view coming up. We got an announcement saying that Adam Cole and Dominik Dijakovic will have a ladder match on next week's program for an advantage in their War Games match. I think this to me comes off as a little bit of a desperate act, which I'm going to explain about here shortly in this review. So I think it comes off a little bit desperate, and I'll tell you why. Your main event for the evening here in a ladder match, it's Io Shirai taking on Mia Yim. The winner of this, because there's a briefcase with a War Games advantage inside, so we would get that. The ladder gets involved here with Io Shirai taking a suplex, but then we see Shirai get the advantage back by hitting the flapjack. And then ultimately, unfortunately for Mia Yim, she got bloodied up here pretty good. She hit this belly-to-belly suplex into the side of the ladder, propped him in the quarter. We see Yim get her stuff in, and then Io Shirai, this is where it happens. Io Shirai drilled Mia Yim with a springboard missile dropkick that busted Mia Yim open and spilled blood all over the ring. They actually had to cut away and stop so they can have the medical come out and stop the bleeding here. But ultimately, in the end, Dakota Kai would come out to check on Mia Yim. Shirai hit a moonsault to the outside to wipe out both women. Then we see Dakota Kai pull down Io Shirai with a powerbomb and rolled Mia Yim into the ring, basically securing the win for Mia Yim. But ultimately, we would see NXT UK Women's Champion Kathy Lee Ray run in to make her appearance known here. She throws Dakota Kai into the steel steps and ultimately tips Mia Yim off the ladder and onto another ladder to eliminate her. And it's an easy climb up for Io Shirai. She goes up and gets the briefcase and gets the advantage for the War Games match. So very good stuff here for this ladder match. So we have that. As Io Shirai, Kathy Lee Ray, and Bianca Belair celebrating in the ring, we see NXT Women's Champion holder Shayna Baszler come out to the entrance to congratulate and start to celebrate. She does not make it down the ringside because SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley actually comes from behind and nails Shayna Baszler with the chair and slammed her and laid her out, as slammed her right into the NXT Women's title as they were going off the air. Rhea Ripley, I should say, all the ladies in the ring went out to go after Bayley, but they chased her off. So I was watching this angle. I mean, you saw Shayna Baszler kind of just standing at the entrance here for a while. I mean, it looked kind of awkward. I mean, clearly you knew somebody was coming out to attack her. It turns out to be Bayley. And look, it's smart to have Bayley be the one to do this. It was later revealed by Bayley herself that she was the one that did the supposed attacks backstage outside on the other women. So Look, in all reality, Bayley has been the third wheel in this triple threat for the women's titles. With Becky Lynch, Shayna Baszler, and herself. Bayley has been the third wheel, so this gave Bayley a chance to shine here, even though I don't believe she's winning that triple threat match between the three top women's title holders here. So that's what we had there. So there you go. That was WWE NXT that took place from Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida. Now, remember, you heard me a little while ago say why I thought the Adam Cole-Dominic Dijakovic ladder match next week for the advantage in the War Games match comes off as a little bit of desperation. Well, that's because the latest ratings are out for AEW Dynamite and WWE NXT, which once again, AEW Dynamite beat NXT in the ratings for the 7th week in a row. They're 7 for 7. AEW got their viewership back up a little bit this week, up to about 950,000 viewers. And NXT unfortunately fell from about 810,000 down to about 750,000. So AEW was able to expand their lead once again a little bit here as NXT got to their closest last week as they've been so far. But so yeah, that's basically why I believe this match with Adam Cole and Dominic Dijakovic for the second week in a row they're gonna have a ladder match on television. So they're basically they're giving away all this main event type stuff here on free TV. This is clearly out of desperation because NXT has yet to beat AEW in the ratings, and if they say it has nothing to do with the ratings, they're lying to you. So that's clearly my thought here, and I believe that they're just doing this out of desperation to try to beat AEW in the ratings. So that's just my official thoughts on all that, and that's why I thought, like I said, this ladder match next week is a move out of desperation. So there you go. Which show was my pick of the week? Which show did I think had the better action? I'm going with WWE NXT this week. I thought the action from start to finish was better than what AEW had. AEW didn't really do anything too terribly wrong. I thought the stuff with Jericho and MJF, though, I thought it ran a little long, was pretty good. The brawl with the Young Bucks and Proud and Powerful was good. But I thought NXT just had the better wrestling action, better action overall from start to finish. So NXT is my pick of the week. So through 7 weeks, I have NXT with 4 wins and AEW with 3 wins. Do you agree with me? Let me know in the comments section down below what you thought the best moment from Wednesday night was. We'll see you the next time right here for the Wednesday Night Wrestling Blitz. Bye for now, everyone.